Hi, so in this video, we want to talk to you about what is a fair deposit that you should ask of a buyer for your property. So it really depends on the type of buyer. So what do I mean? Is that if you were selling, let's say, a $300,000 property to a cash buyer, and that cash buyer has shown you proof of funds that they have at least $300,000, a very common deposit on cash purchases is 10%, 10% of the purchase price. And it's not uncommon for that 10% to be given upfront, right? Subject to inspection, or broken up in two ways. So where it's 5% now and then 5% after the inspection period. That's very common. But if you're working with a buyer that needs financing and maybe they're financing 80% and they're coming in with 20% down payment, then in that case, 5% deposit is not uncommon, where they can break it up into 2.5% now, 2.5% after inspections. Sometimes you can just ask for 5% up front because if it's still subject to inspection, it really doesn't matter. It really depends on the strength of your negotiation, on the strength of your position, really, based on the market, on your competition, how many other properties are available that are competing with yours, how many other buyers you have that are interested. That's kind of what it depends on. Also, if you're working with a buyer that maybe like a first-time buyer that's using an FHA loan that's coming in with 3.5% down payment, you're not going to be able to ask for a 5% deposit because they just don't have that much money. But you could ask for a 2% deposit. So typically, let's say on a $300,000 sale, I would ask for at least $5,000 up front, right? And then contingent on the inspection, because it really comes down to how significant that deposit is to the buyer. So on a $300,000 sale, if the buyer is coming in with 3.5% down payment, that means that they're going to need to have about $10,000. And so what we can do is we can ask for $5,000 up front and $5,000 after the inspection. And then we have 3.5% roughly in deposit. And that shows us the buyer's willingness and commitment to the transaction, how serious they are. Sometimes you'll come across a buyer that will give a $100 deposit in their offer. And although that's not illegal, it just doesn't show a lot of seriousness, a lot of commitment. So typically, a minimum of 2% deposit is what I recommend. And if you're working with a cash buyer, 10% is very, very reasonable. Again, when we've probably talked about it in another video, but if you get a cash offer from an investor, it's not uncommon for the investors to put up only $100 deposit, $1,000 deposit, $500 deposit, and it's because they're investors. They're looking out for their best interest, and that may, of course, not be in your best interest as a property owner, as a property seller. So anyway, I hope that gives you a little bit of insight as to how to negotiate some of these deposits. Again, it comes down to the buyers, the type of buyer that you're working with and how much they're financing. So hope it gives you a little bit of insight. Hope you find that information helpful. Let us know if you have questions about this or anything else at any time. And we're happy to help you sell quickly with little hassle and for the best price. I'll talk to you soon.